Hey guys, welcome back, and this is going to be another episode of 5 Random Airports and Airfields. This is going to be episode 8 of season 2. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at locations that were used by NASA and are still being used by NASA. Some are pretty obvious, some may not be. But the reason I picked these locations was for the last couple weeks I've been binge watching For All Mankind on Apple TV, and I got to tell you, I really enjoy that show. And I don't normally do this; I don't promote TV on my channel, but if you get a chance and you want to watch something really good, it's granted it's all fictional, it's still an exceptional story, and it really keeps you coming back for more. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right in here. The first place we're going to be looking at is going to be it's in Patterson, California. This was formerly the Naval Auxiliary Landing Facility, or NALF for short, and this ultimately became a shuttle landing site, and it is owned by NASA Ames Research in California. And from what I could tell, this base has been was in operation since 1942, and it has had trained everything from World War II fighters all the way to teaching carrier operations and that kind of stuff, carrier landings, and it's got quite a history to it. This is the default. There are no scenery files for this particular location, but you can still see the outlines of what was left. Now, from what I read, they did go in and they demolished most all of the buildings with the exception of the tower, and that was due to the probably asbestos and that kind of stuff. But this facility was labeled as a landing site for the space shuttle. So, what I find interesting is that Microsoft Flight Simulator has the airport, it shows it, but it does not list it by its IACO code. I had to get here by coordinates, and I will provide those coordinates. And I thought that was kind of strange, given that you do have a functional looking airport here. I mean, in real life, it's just the runways. I don't know what's left as far as buildings go, but you can definitely see what it was, and that Okay, so the airport itself has two runways, one that is 6,975 feet and the other that is 7,950 feet. This was originally known as Crow's Landing. It's an interesting location, I think. It would be interesting to go back and see it as it looks today. But you can still see where some of the abandoned buildings were. So at one time it was a functioning airstrip base, and I think I read that they actually had plans to make it a working airstrip, but I don't think they ever did. Alright, well, that's going to do it for that one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Alright, so next up is going to be KTTS. This is going to be the shuttle landing facility at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This really needs no introduction. Everybody knows exactly where this is, what it is historically. And we're just going to show it off here. Now, I did find some files that made this look really, really good. The first one was by an individual named Mikhail171, and it adds scenery to the actual landing strip. And what you're looking at here would have been where the shuttle landed. And the runway itself is 14,994 feet. So it's got lots of room for mistakes. And what I like about this, you also have the heliports. And then you have a small parking area over here. Now, excuse the commercial liners. They were just populated here. I put in the NASA T-38. So like I was saying, there's this just adds quite a bit to look at here, and without this, it's pretty bland looking. I vaguely remember an add-on for Flight Simulator 10 that did Kennedy Space Center in its entirety. I think it was by Aerosoft, but I don't remember. But this is all freeware, and you can get this off of flightsim.to. See here, we got another little area, and we got a shuttle parked right here. Pretty cool, huh? Now, in doing all this, I actually went on a hunt hoping somebody had converted over the old Captain Sim space shuttle just so you could, you know, at least try to land it. But I was unsuccessful in finding anything like that. And I realized Captain Sim is not a very popular product anymore. But at one time they did some pretty nice stuff. So there you have it. This would be the shuttle landing facility at Kennedy Space Center. Do a Google search and you look for msfsaddons.org, you'll get into a site, and they actually have this really nice scenery package for free to download. And I will provide the link to the site, but you're gonna have to I really didn't like the download process, but the payoff for the scenery package was okay. It wants you to download some download manager, but you don't need to do that. But here is the assembly building and all its accompanying buildings. There is another file on flightsim.to that adds just this building. So if you're happy with that, you can just go with that. But this also adds the launch pads and some other scenery that is much needed for this entire package to look right. So if we go out here towards the launch pads, in default scenery, you actually see where the launch pads are, but there's nothing sitting on them. Everything is really, really bland. And I really kind of wish, actually one of the things that when I first looked at it was that it had a default building there instead of what was supposed to be a rocket ship. And I don't, that's gone now. But see, now here you have the SpaceX building. What's up is down, what's left is right. And SpaceX. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. So that's pretty cool. And then we go out over here. I think this is the one that, by default, it just had a building, a big skyscraper. But I could be wrong. I don't remember. I really haven't gone back since I installed all this. But it really adds a lot to your experience over Kennedy Space Center. So it adds a little bit here and there. It adds a lot of the administration buildings and of course mission control. So it's just a matter of getting there, getting the stuff installed, and then taking a look at it. But the this scenery file from mfsaddons.org is really pretty good, and it does just about everything that I want it to do for this area. So let's go ahead and jump on to the next one. I'm going to leave the rest for you to explore, and we'll just go take a look at our next location. Alright, so next up is going to be, this is actually Hollowman Air Force Base. So this is KHOL. But this was also known as White Sands Space Harbor. And this is in New Mexico. And this was used as a shuttle training facility and was designated as a landing site, an alternate landing site for the shuttle. There isn't a lot to see, and you can't really, I mean, it's all the runways are dirt. The only significant thing here is that one runway, they have 35,000 foot runways here. So the place is huge. And apparently at one point this was also known as Northrop Strip, and in 1976 that's when NASA selected the site as a site for shuttle training. Not a lot to see here. I was not able to find any other scenery for this particular location. I have all these weird I'm not quite sure what the scenery is doing out here. So, I mean, these are apparently very large buildings. That's how Flight Simulator depicts this. So, your guess is as good as mine. I think I'll go take a look at something. Hold on. So unfortunately, this is what you get in Flight Simulator. As for the real life location, it looks nothing like this. You can just make out the runways. This might be due to it is still an active airbase, and why it's not represented image-wise. But that is going to be White Sands Space Harbor. So anyways, that's going to do it for that one. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But there you have the runways. Up is going to be Vandenburg Air Force Base. This is also going to be in California. The file that I have downloaded is by an individual named Mountain Air. I think I've used his sceneries in the past, and they are all very good. This runway is 14,987 feet, and this particular base has been in operation since 1941 and is still being used today. So something else that is kind of interesting about this base is that this is also Vandenburg Space Force Base. So you have Vandenburg Air Force Base and then the Space Force Base. I was not able to find any kind of scenery, but the base is huge. So where everything is at exactly, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to just show you the Air Force Base for now. And if we, by some sheer luck, we find the launch facility, we'll take a look at that too. Now, this by default is pretty sad looking. So this adds some really nice eye candy to this, and it gives you a really convincing representation of what this airbase looks like. And that being one of them, and why we're looking at these particular airports. Air bases, airstrips, whatever you want to call it. Looks like you got a C5 Galaxy there. Lots to look at. Now, my flight simulator, and I'm sure it's whatever AI program, or not AI program, FSTL, I think it populated the base runway with a bunch of civilian airplanes. So that's why you're seeing this over here. I've got an F-35 parked out there, but the rest are helicopters and general aviation planes. So if you turn off FSTL, I think all that will go away. Check that out. So let's take a look. What else we have to see? You got a B-52 parked over here. Impressive. I'd still like to see a really good B-52 for Flight Simulator. Alright. And then you have some other facilities over here are part of the base. So there is a lot to look at. I really like this scenery file. Kind of the first time I'm seeing it. So I didn't really pay that much attention to it when I just flew out of here. Alright. Well, I think that's going to do it for Vandenburg. Another facility used by NASA at some point. And there's the launch facility. Alright, well, there. That wasn't so hard to find, was it? Pretty cool. Alright, let's go ahead and jump on to our last one. And we'll check that one out. I love the custom buildings. Sorry, I did not see these over here until I got to them. Okay, now we're ready to move on. And you can get this scenery file from flightsim.to. Just dump it into your community folder. It is that easy. Alright, and lastly, this is not going to be an airport or an airstrip per se. This is going to be more of just a location. Now, from what I read, they do have helicopter pads here, but for some reason, Microsoft does not include them in this particular area for some reason. But this will be Johnson Space Center in Texas, and this is a 72TX. No, that actually 72TX is the IACO code for the helicopter landing pads that are not in Flight Simulator. So you'll have to get here either by going to a nearby airport and flying to it, or by going to the coordinates that I'll provide. But this is all by default. I did not download any extra scenery for this, but this is Johnson Space Center. Buildings are really good here, and the facility itself is well modeled, so there really is no need for any external scenery. I would have liked to have seen the helicopter pads, but it is very possible that they may not even use them anymore. But they still show as landing sites. Then the facility, it stretches over to here, and you have this interesting thing, which was that a launch pad at one time? I'm gonna sound really daft. I'm not really sure. What do we got here? Okay, now I know that is not part of Store Hut. Okay, so that is just a autogen building that kind of fills in the blanks. And you have more facilities over here. So that I think is going to do it. I don't really have any more. If you have not watched For All Mankind, like, I've been apparently living under a rock for the last 4 seasons. Check it out. It is worth it. It is a great, great series. Also, Masters of the Air is a pretty good show, too, on Apple. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And we'll see you in the next one, most definitely. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.